Hello everyone, welcome back to the 20 Dolph channel, and this is my 2000 Volkswagen Golf Mark 4 2 litre. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is doing a complete overview of this car, so driving it, what's under the bonnet, everything else about this car you're going to see in this video. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the backstory of this car. I bought this thing for $75. I've got an entire series on this car coming to the channel very soon, so make sure to check that out when it drops. But yeah, I love this car. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to show you everything there is to know about the Mark 4 Golf. Start off at the front end, where this car was actually a, I don't know, Volkswagen Australia did something really weird with the specs. So I think it was mid-2000, that's when they refreshed the spec lineup for Australia. This was a 2000, but an early year 2000. So we get the standard headlights, obviously they're glass, and they've got the fog lights in the headlight here. The thing with the Mark 4 Golfs is the valence at the front here always comes off. So I don't think I've seen a single Mark 4 Golf with this valence that's still on, that's actually regularly used. But yeah, so that's obviously come off. But I actually really like the color on this car. I forget the name of it. It's a really, really nice green, and it's actually in okay condition. Usually this paint peels, especially in Australia's very hot climate. So the roof's obviously got a little bit of fading on it, but honestly, it's not even that bad. The paint is in very, very good condition considering this car's age. Move around to the side of my Mark 4 Golf, and yeah, it's obviously, it's a Golf. It's just a mid-spec Golf. So yeah, nothing too special on the side. In the like mid-2000 facelift for Australia, they actually replaced these transparent globes with orange ones. Very strange, very weird, but because this is a Y2K spec, it's got the clears, which is good. On this particular car, it's got a little bit of scraping going on, but nothing too crazy. And yeah, I mean, it's just a side to a vehicle. This car also has the mud flaps option from Volkswagen, so they are genuine Volkswagen mud flaps. How cool is that? In terms of wheels, we are rocking some 15-inch 5-spoke wheels. I have no idea what these wheels are called, but they look okay. They, again, refreshed the wheel lineup for the post mid-2000 Mark 4s. So this was the last of the Mark 4s we got in Australia to come with this wheels in this spec. And yeah, I don't mind the wheels at all. They look okay. So moving on to the rear of my Golf Mark 4. As you can see, it is just a Mark 4. We've got these standard Mark 4 taillights. If I were to keep this car, I would throw the GTI taillights on it, which I think look much, much better. But obviously this is just a temporary little car. I'll go a little bit further into the details of this car a little later. I still don't know if I'm going to sell it. I still don't know if I'm going to keep it. That will be discussed in the car when we drive this thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just typical Mark 4. This car's also optioned with a cream interior, but we'll get to that when we look at the interior. We've done some funny things with this car, including a little exhaust special. So if you take a look at the muffler, you'll see we have drilled a couple of holes into it just to bring out that mighty 2 litre that's under the bonnet there. So we'll give it a start up and hear how this thing sounds. It's a pretty funny exhaust note. It definitely doesn't sound good. But look, it's a little bit of fun. Why not? Let's go check out what's under the bonnet. Under the bonnet of the Golf Mark 4, we have the naturally aspirated 2 litre engine. This engine is commonly referred to by Mark 4 owners as the 2-point slow, mainly because it's slow. It's very, very slow. I think this thing produces what, like 80, 90 kilowatts, something like that. It's not very much. And it is slow. It's a naturally aspirated unit. No idea what the engine code is. Don't really care to look. But yeah, I mean, these are known for blowing head gaskets somewhere around the 200,000 kilometer mark. Not particularly common, but it is something to be wary of. The coolant hoses are very weak, so over time, obviously they snap, and if the engine overheats, your head gasket's pretty much gone straight away on one of these. So yeah, obviously the strut top bushings need replacing. Common Mark 4 issue again, but overall it's an engine. It's relatively fuel efficient, and I mean, it works. This car's got 196,000 Ks on it. It's pretty much been neglected its whole life, yet here we are, and it's still driving pretty damn well. Now we should take a look at the interior of my beautiful Mark IV Golf. So stepping inside, of course, as I mentioned before, this is optioned with a cream interior. Again, this was not available on cars post mid-2000 in Australia. And I actually really like the cream. If it was kept in good shape, it would still look great. Like, there are plenty of Mark IVs I've seen with the cream interior and this paint, which look incredible. Those are the cars that have been really well kept though. And unfortunately for a lot of these Mark IVs, that is not the case. So yeah, obviously taking a look around, we've got this 4-spoke steering wheel up ahead of us. In front of that, we've got our little gauge cluster there, digital clock there, and then the odometer reading, which is 196,000 Ks on this particular car. But yeah, steering wheel feels nice-ish. It is a rubber steering wheel, but it is aging pretty well considering what this car has been through in its life. Over here, you've got obviously air vent, your lights, and obviously this is optioned with the front fog lights, which is a good thing. The mirror control thing has snapped off. It is a Volkswagen after all. This is another very common issue with the Mark IVs and Mark Vs. The little bit of fabric or trim piece here does like to start peeling off after some time, so this car is no exception. The white interior is filthy. This car was sitting abandoned, sitting just at the side of the road with that window down for a whole year. So you can expect the interior to be quite nasty, which it is. I did try to give it a little bit of a detail yesterday, but it was a bit of a half-assed effort, to be fair. So the car is still a little bit filthy here and there, but it doesn't really matter. It does not really matter. The headliner is held up with thumbtacks, of course. But moving to the center, higher spec optioned cars will have heated seats if you've got leather seats. A ASP button will be there if you've got a higher spec model, but on the lower optional mid-spec models, you do get a window defogger or defroster in the right there, and then a little hazard button there, and that would be for your other heated seat too. This car also is optioned with cruise control, which is very cool to see. You've got your little cup holders here, and they do work. A lot of Mark IVs, they don't work, but there we go. That all works very nice and well. We've got the original Volkswagen radio in here, which is very cool. Aircon down here, which is nice. This car is optioned with the 5-speed manual, and the clutch is slipping so bad, it definitely needs a clutch. But yeah, I mean, it's an okay gearbox. These gearboxes are pretty unreliable if you start pushing power through them, but for a stock 2-litre, you're really not gonna be facing too many problems with the transmission, I would assume. Got your little fuel release there, don't worry about that. Came with the car. A handbrake here. This little center armrest, which is stuck up for some reason. You cannot move it down, don't know why. Yep, seats are pretty comfortable. They are just cloth seats, but they get the job done. In the rear, you've got a little bit of leg room. It's fine, it doesn't really matter too much. Overall, it's a pretty nice place to be. It's a very nice place to sit. And yeah, no real complaints about the interior. I do like it quite a lot, especially in this cream. Although it is filthy, I really do like the cream on the cream on green. Sorry, yeah, no, I really do like it. But we've got all that out of the way. Let's go take this thing on a drive and hope my camera does not overheat. It is a very hot day today. Okay, so here we are in my Mark IV Golf, and let's start this thing up. Ooh, beautiful. Let's go take this thing for a drive, shall we? And let's hope my camera does not overheat. I will probably pull over at some point to check to make sure it's still recording. But yeah, here we go. Driving my Mark IV along. There we go, Volkswagen starter pack right there. Yeah, there's an issue with the ABS, so I had to remove the fuse. Yeah, I'm so sorry for the cicadas as well. They're so bloody annoying. But yeah, driving this thing along, it does need quite a lot of work. The suspension is very loose. I do think it needs control arms. The brakes are spongy as, so not very good. But and also the clutch is slipping too. The clutch is slipping so bad. But overall, very comfortable. Very comfortable. Handles the corners very well. It is a Volkswagen, so you do expect some pretty good handling out of Golf. But yeah, overall it's pretty comfortable. Just driving a chill like this, it is a very comfortable vehicle. But we're approaching our little straight here, so I think we should open the 2-litre up and hear that beautiful exhaust modification. But I think you guys are ready for this. But it is a lot of fun. Like Mark 4 Golfs, they are hilarious. Even just not even the GTIs or R32, like even just one of these, it's hilarious to just throw around. Here's our second little straight here. We'll give it another hit, see what she's got in her. All right. They don't call it the 2-point slope for nothing, let me tell you. Oh dear, it's a lot of fun though. It is a lot of fun, especially with the exhaust modification. We did actually take the entire exhaust off yesterday, so that was fun. Oh my god! But yes, why did I buy this car? What is it doing in my fleet? Well, I came across this car, it was sitting abandoned for ages, and I just left them a note, like I do on most abandoned cars, and yeah, went to go check it out, and somehow ended up on paying $75 for this vehicle. So at the time I had no idea what I'm going to do with it. Still got registration for I think 20 days or something, so not awful. But yeah, unfortunately this morning I had a little bit of an incident with my daily, my 1.9 TDI Polo, which I still have. Yeah, I ran off the back of someone because they're an awful driver. Legally it was my fault, sure, but it was their fault. It was a green light, they slammed the brakes on because they thought it was red. I ran right off the back of them. Unfortunate end to my 1.9 TDI, but maybe I'll be able to revive that. It doesn't matter. So originally I was going to just you know, do this car up a little bit, sell it, but at this point in time I do need a car for work. I don't really want to use one of my performance cars, so I think the Mark 4 might be staying around temporarily just as my little runaround for the time being. I mean, the car drives really nice, and this is the thing with these Mark 4s, actually really reliable. They're surprisingly reliable. That is why they are still so popular in Europe. You will see so many Mark 4s driving around Eastern Europe, Central Europe, because they just last and last. We have first-hand experience with this. I have had, this is my 4th Mark 4. So I've had 3 Mark 4 Golfs and a Mark 4 Bora as well. And yeah, they just last. Like my GTI, that was at 320,000 Ks. And the guy who owns it now, one of my best friends, he's got it at 340,000 Ks and it's rocking a tune on it and it's running E85. Like that thing just keeps going. It keeps going and it hasn't had a perfect life. Like most of these Mark 4s, they don't live perfect lives. But 314,000 Ks, sure it's had issues. I had issues with the linkages, the fuel pump. But nothing major when I owned it. That was really the extent of it. And then since then, it's had a couple of coolant leaks. I believe it's had a boost leak as well, but that's just to be expected. It is a 23-year-old car at the end of the day. This is a 24-year-old car with 196,000 Ks. The owner was telling me they just serviced it once a year, just did the oil change. They didn't really do anything else. It was their second car. It was their little runaround. And I mean, it does show. Obviously, the car does feel very loose. It doesn't feel tight at all. It feels like a car that has been neglected. But even having said that, the car still drives really, really well. Not even just for a $75 car, just in general. It is just a nice feeling car, and I don't feel like it's going to break down on me at any moment. It gives me that kind of confidence to open it up a little bit, and it's just pleasant to drive as well. Like, it's a really nice little runaround vehicle. Having said that, my friend, good friend of mine, old housemate, she actually had a 1.6 litre Golf, a 2001 Mark 4, I believe it was, and that thing also lived a very horrendous life. Pretty much, yeah, I mean, most of the door lock actuators were out on that car. The belts were about to snap. Like, that thing had lived such a harsh life, yet she was pretty much able to drive it around for an entire year for work. Oh my, so we've got a C car and a BYD Shark and a EV Macan. Interesting. There must be some kind of car review going on today. But yeah, so she had that car for, I think she did like 8,000, 9,000 Ks in that car, used it every day for work, and that thing just kept going. It didn't break down on her once. It was insane. Actually, no, she ran out of fuel once because the fuel gauge was a little bit dodgy, but apart from that, like, it worked. At the tail end, she had the automatic, so the transmission started to go just before she sold it, but even still, that, I was amazed at how long that car lasted, and it's still registered, it's still driving around. She sold it at the beginning of the year, I think, maybe even last year, and it's still going around. I've checked the rego, it's still lasting. Like, these Mark 4s are so popular in Europe for a reason. They they just last and last. This was the golden era of Volkswagen, many argue, and I can definitely see why. I mean, interior build quality, 24-year-old car, sure, you've got the peeling, you've got the headliner issue, but in terms of its structural integrity, in terms of rattling and anything, like, there's no rattles in this car. There are literally none. It is a 24-year-old Golf, and it's not rattling a single bit, apart from the suspension components, but obviously that's just due to wear and tear. Like, it's actually stunning just how well built these cars are. And yeah, it's unfortunate that obviously now Volkswagen has kind of fallen off a little bit, the whole Dieselgate thing, the fact they're on the verge of bankruptcy again. So unfortunately, at the very end of that, my camera did cut out. I'm so sorry. It's a very hot day. I literally cannot record in hot weather. Otherwise, my camera just does not like existing. But let me give my final thoughts on this car. Should you buy one? Absolutely. Absolutely. They're very good cars. Like I was saying before, like, this is a 24-year-old car. It's not rattling. It's not doing anything out of line. It's so well built. And I seriously, like, I recommend this to anyone. I could not see myself getting bored of it. Like, I haven't treated this car nice at all since I bought it. So, I mean, yeah. Okay, sir. But yeah, no, I really like the car. I really like the car, and I'm sure you would love one as well if you got one. And yeah, overall, couldn't be happier with one of these. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.